Hi everybody, and welcome to another session on the green financing and the sustainable consumption. What is green financing? It's another kind of finance. Is that the color? I'll take you through some circumstances. What comes to your head when you see this picture? Some climate scientists say this is a climate crisis. Some others say this is the outcome of the climate change. You can see wildfire, deforestation. We are facing these problems because of the climate changes. We can see the economic cost and the social cost of the climate changes. It affects all our investment. And if we do not act to control them, the entire society, the planet. Now you must be thinking, why we are discussing this in a finance or economics class? Are we vulnerable to the climate changes? Yes, of course. We in Nepal, belonging to the geographical location which is highly vulnerable to the climate changes. We are facing the scarcity of the water. We can see there is 65% increase in the glacier melt. If we do not take initiatives, then what happens? Flood, water, no classes, no working environment. Won't that be very difficult? Who is causing these climate changes? This winter, it's not very cold, and some other time, we feel colder. Recent example, the recent flooding that has happened in Nepal. 3 things that I have identified, I'm presenting right now, is economic losses. We have faced 17 to 57 billion of the economic losses, many disasters and dismantling of the hydropower projects, blockage of the roads. Look at the infrastructure damage. 37 highways were blocked, 19 major roads were blocked, 1,769 households, they faced the problem. 16 hydropower plants were damaged. Not just that, environmental damage. The landslide eroded hillsides, reduced the soil fertility. Isn't that very serious? Yes. So we, as a business students, or the students of finance and economics, we need to account for all this. Now, what is our role? One of the popular magazines, the European CEO, said that the finance can save the world from the climate change. Isn't this something very interesting? Yes. We are not the climate scientists actually. We are economists. Companies know what they need to do to reverse the effect of the climate changes, but will they take the initiatives? No. Why? Business says they are motivated, they are guided by the profits. Make money, make more money, and continue making more money. Now, I'm sure that you can relate the climate with the finance, or the climate changes with the finance aspect. All right? Bloomberg said, bond can save the planet. How is that possible? How much money do we require? The World Economic Forum says we require about $3 trillion. Now, if you estimate or refer to some other sources, they say that we require about $5 trillion a year. We need money for the refinancing. We need innovative way of financing. We need ways to help this corporation make more money while helping the environment without destroying them, without causing further losses, without causing further damages. Here comes the role of the finance. So, green finance or the sustainable finance is a way of financing the environmental friendly projects. They do not hamper the environment. No more temperature rise, no more climate crisis, no more natural disaster without hampering the environment. Sustainability means what? Not just the financial sustainability, sustainability of the environment. So sustainable finance is a discipline that continues understanding the finance, raising the fund, making the investment such a way that is sustainable with regards to the environment. Also incorporates the social aspects as well as the governance aspect. So this is what we study over here. Now if you look at this one, how much fund have we generated so far? We have generated about 1,265 billion US dollar. But is that enough? No. So how much do we require? We require about 10,000 billion US dollar. If we continue doing the business as usual, in this scenario, by the end of 2100, we'll face a loss of 2,328 trillion US dollar. But if we understand our responsibility, take the initiative, understand the sustainable finance, utilize the different ways or mechanism of the green financing, then how much can we save? We can save at least 1,266, As we can see, average losses under a 1.5 degree scenario. As per the Paris Agreement 2015. All right, now I'm sure that you can connect the finance with the climate changes. So we also have the responsibility, and there are different ways to help the environment and to remain sustainable. What is green finance then? Channeling the fund into the environmentally sustainable project. For instance, the renewable energy, like the solar energy projects, preserving the natural resources, wind energy, biomass energy, exploring their potential that does not produce the greenhouse gas. So it increases the financial flow from the public and makes the required investment to support these initiatives. How can we get them? How does it work? There are varieties of the ways. How can we save the planet? Every single effort counts. We can minimize the usage of the resources. Don't produce, don't consume unless that is required. Or finance only those projects that help the environment, that do not harm the environment. So this is not a new concept. Earlier also, since 1970s, we have been learning about the CSR, corporate social responsibility, and then ethical investment, and then socially responsible investment. Investment that is responsible towards the society, that does not harm the environment, does not harm the society. Now, that has evolved as the green financing mechanism. So every single effort counts, and importantly, there are three major tools. One is green bond, a kind of debt instrument that is sold by the corporations or the government or the local bodies to raise the fund that will finance the environmental friendly projects. The other can be the green loans. The bank and the financial institutions can offer the loans only for the environmental friendly projects. They do not they do not provide the loan to fossil fuel producer. And green funds, there are varieties of the funds like the climate funds and the green funds. And if you ask me the local context as well, we have access to the Green Climate Fund. We call them GCF. And we have 3 accredited institutions, and in the past, we have already received some money. For instance, the NIMB Bank and the Alternate Energy Promotion Center, AEPC, they have the accreditation. They can help us. And we have the handbook as well to collect the fund, where the government should provide certain level of support. They must have identified some green and environmental friendly projects. All right, we'll go deeper into that later. So primarily the green bonds, the green loans, and the green funds. Now going with the green bonds, what is it? They are the debt instrument that finances that can be issued with the green financing framework. So a government can sell the green bonds, corporations can do that, municipalities can do that, local authorities can also sell those bonds. There are 2 aspects. One is the financing aspects, another is the investment aspects. So before we make any investment, we must identify the environmental friendly projects. For instance, solar energy projects, vertical farming projects, maybe wind farming projects, biomass projects, or green transportation, green hydrogen development projects, or climate resilient infrastructure development, or ecotourism, or the green vehicle that are sustainable. So identification of the project is the first, the basic requirement for this green bonds. All right. We have a principles from the International Capital Market Association, ICMA. So they are voluntary process guidelines for issuing the green bonds. What they say is you must meet certain requirements. First, you have to identify the projects, and they will help at least 6 of these sustainable development goals. These principles based on 4 parameters. The first one is the use of the proceeds. So where can we use the proceeds from the green bonds? Only in the environment friendly projects. The second, process for project evaluation and selection. One cannot just raise the money by selling the green bonds. There are some evidence in the past they are cheaper. There exists green premium. If a corporation A sells bonds that is not tagged as green, and at the same time if other corporation sells the bonds that is tagged as green, maybe the green bond can be sold at a slightly lower coupon, or in some parts of the world they receive some sort of support from the government as well. They bear the cost. Now is it just for taking the advantage? No. The idea is to remain sustainable. become the eco-friendly. So we must identify projects that are environmental friendly. So how do you select the project? How do you evaluate them? That must be clarified. So before one sells the green bonds, the prospectus must outline. This is how we identify the project, and this is where we are going to invest the money. And this is the quantity, this is the amount of the energy that will save. These are the technology that will initiate or develop. Then another is management of the proceeds. Once the company develops green financing framework, the prospectus may also acquire some second party opinion, then sell the bond with the help of the issue managers, collect the fund. But once we have the money, you have to have a separate account. How you manage the proceed? You cannot dilute, you cannot mix that. You have to have a separate account, and you must spend from that particular account to the designated, pre-identified projects. Happy? Then what is the fourth condition? The fourth condition is the reporting. Did you actually perform what you claimed before or not? How far is the progress? What quantity of energy did you save actually? How much greenhouse gas did you reduce? What impact did you create? Report them. That has to be verifiable. Make it more credible. If you produce those reports, they can be verified by others. And if you want to issue the green bonds in the future, if you want to raise more green funds, take the benefits, that will enhance your credibility. Yes.
What do you think about how Nepal is trying to really get into the petroleum market and is drilling around many places? So, and similarly, the concept of how Nepal is mining, has a lot of mining projects going down, which is one of the major reasons for the flood as well.
It's not that people learned about this green financing or the environment recently. They knew for a long time actually, but they chose to go with the one that is easily accessible, the one that is the cheapest one. All right? So they started consuming the fossil fuels. This is how they started. Now they understood it may be expensive, it may not be easily accessible, but this is the way to go. At the initial stage, it is exciting to go for a mining. And another thing is your geographical location, your country, your area, your place may have advantage or excess of one resource, not the other resources. We are lucky that we are here in Nepal. We have the forest. But all the countries, do they have the forest? Now this topic is debatable. One that has all the minings, all that has the country that has the fossil fuels, and no other resources. They want to exploit that, explore that, isn't it? Okay. So the other one that has natural resources might want to explore that one. So it's a kind of mix. So it may sound political as well. So I don't want to be too political. There are two dimensions. Some people say that all these are hoax. I don't know. So, and sometimes it may be natural. It may be a kind of balance. One may argue that okay, let's continue consuming the fossil fuels, but minimize. If you are using 10 liters of the petrols, now find a way to minimize that to the 1 liter, in place of creating another infrastructure. If we want to go further in Nepal with the electric vehicle, do we have the infrastructure? No. We require several charging stations. Again, what about those batteries? We need to dispose them. Again, that may cause further emissions. So what is the way forward? Okay. So if we simply find a way or come up with some innovation or some technology that reduces the use of the fossil fuel from the 10 liter to 1 liter, may still be fine. Okay. So in the current context, I hope I answered your question. Now, this green bond is one aspect, one instrument, but the sustainable finance covers other instruments as well. We have the social bonds. Green bonds, they finance only the environmental friendly or eco-friendly projects, like the green transportation, or the climate resilient infrastructure, or renewable energy generation. Yes. But what about the social debt instrument, social financing? There are many issues that society faces. So this International Capital Market Association also has guidelines for the social debt instrument, social bond, social financing that helps the society. Maybe for the equity, maybe for the education, maybe for the empowerment, all right? And they also have the sustainability bond guidelines. So they can link to these sustainable development goals. They may not be financially viable, but still that helps the society. That serves for the sustainability, or that helps for the accomplishment of the sustainable development goals. These are some of the green bond milestones. The European Investment Bank first initiated that back in 2007. And there is always a debate. Is it the European Investment Bank that started first or the World Bank? They named as the climate awareness bond, not the green bond. But back in 2008, after the launch of the first climate awareness bond, a kind of green bond by the European Investment Bank, in 2008, World Bank came up with the green bond. All right? But generally we call that as the green bond. This is how it grew, and we can see that $1 trillion was raised in one particular year, 2020. Now the total amount surpasses around $5 trillion via green bond. Okay? And that is not sufficient actually. We require about $5 trillion a year, not the total.
Not total, a year.
Per year, we require about $5 trillion investment in the environmental friendly project. All right? So these are some of the instruments. We can also expand the green funds and also the green loans. So mixture of so many other activities. At the same time, we can reduce the consumption, go over a sustainable consumption, buy only if we require, produce only if we require. All right?
Yes, sir.
And reuse the resources that we have. Develop a system. So this is how we can go ahead. Now this picture shows the green bond across the globe. Our country is yet to begin, but we can see the darker green shows the larger amount of the green bond issued by the country. The bigger red circle means the bigger quantity. And these are some of the countries, less than 20 countries. They are the pioneers. And primarily, if you look at this picture, you can see primarily in the Europe. Then it has increased tremendously in the China as well as in the USA, and others are gradually initiating them. Now this is the sustainable finance paradigm, began in 1970s. So the first evidence comes from the Stockholm Conference back in 1972, followed by the pollution tax in the United States of America. Then there is a one written record, and you might want to go through this particular record, called Brundtland Report, Our Common Future. Then socially responsible investing, this SRA became pronounced. Then many other summits and the conferences like the Earth Summit, the Kyoto Protocol, and these finance initiatives. In 2000s, several developments including the green bond, other green financing mechanism. Then United Nations Principle for Responsible Banking, the International Capital Market Association's guideline for the green, social, sustainable and sustainability linked bonds, the Paris Agreement back in 2015, then the Task Force Committee, and now it's growing. Right now the Europe has the regulation as well. Very good regulation. Now what about Nepal? Nepal is also making progress. Nepal has taken part in the Green Climate Fund. They have already brought some money, good amount. Nepal targets to make it net zero. What does that net zero means?
Carbon emission, making it zero.
Yeah, excellent. Then we have the green bond policy. The Security Board of Nepal has also made some policy on that. We have the green growth plan. Recently we have the green finance taxonomy that defines what is red, what is amber and what is green. All right? And recently our country is also rated by the Fitch, one of the rating organization, and we have received the WB-. So we are making the progress. We have some guidelines, we are making some progress. Now what is our status? The Climate Action Tracker maintains the record of all the countries, and these are some of the parameters. The first one is policies and the action. The second one, conditional NDC target. Third one, unconditional NDC target, and fourth one is the climate finance. Although it is not applicable, now we have started. Some of the corporations have started, and country has started formulating some policies, so we'll move forward. Luckily, we have the forest. We can even go for the carbon sequestration, and this is where we need to focus, the conditional nationally determined commitments. All right? I think we'll stop here for today, and then we'll continue discussing more on next class. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions?
No, sir.
Okay then, see you.